The smell of cedar smoke, like burning leaves in autumn. The smell of the desert, dry and clean. To feel the wind in your face, the cold dawn nip your ears, and the heat of noon burn your back. To hear the thunder of the Colorado River and the roar of the mountain streams, and the rustle of sand through the sage. To know these is to learn the purity of atmosphere never breathed in overpopulated cities. The Great Southwest. Arizona and New Mexico, with their vistas of peaks and plains, painted buttes and flat-topped mesas, forested slopes and deep canyons, all beneath the bluest of blue skies, comprise a realm not only rich in natural wonders, but unique in its intensely interesting revelations of a prehistoric age. In portions of Nevada, Texas, Colorado, California, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma, you'll experience the days of the Old West. See sunflowered plains and waving wheat, snow-capped mountains, rushing rivers, and experience the seemingly unchanged lands of the Llano Estacado, or Staked Plains, across the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles. The earliest documented occupation in the American Southwest dates to before 9000 BC. More than 2,000 years ago, this vast land was inhabited by settlers of the Basketmaker culture, which later evolved into permanent towns of cliff dwellings and pit houses, the ruins of which can still be seen in New Mexico, Colorado, and Arizona. While hunting and gathering activities predominated in the Great Basin in California, and bison hunting dominated the plains, the peoples of the American Southwest established early agricultural communities and grew maize, beans, and squash. Gradually, they also built above-ground structures known as pueblos, and developed a sophisticated culture of community housing and religious beliefs and activities based in nature. These people were long known as the Anasazi, but are more popularly called today the ancient Puebloans. Later, more Native Americans from other areas would migrate to the Southwest, bringing with them new food products, woven items, and decorated pottery. Some of the larger tribes of the Southwest were the Ute, Navajo, Apache, Comanche, Paiute, Hopi, and Puebloans. As trade expanded farther, it would include colored stones and feathers, which became highly valued in the Native American culture. Music, art, dances, and oral traditions were drawn from nature and spread throughout the region. Beginning in 1540, Spanish conquistador Francisco Vázquez de Coronado began to explore the Southwest, laying claims for Spain to the vast lands. Members of his party were the first Europeans to view the Grand Canyon. With more and more Spanish conquest continued, the lives of the Native Americans would begin to change, as religious orders, soldiers, and colonists built missions, presidios, and towns with distinctive central plazas and churches. In New Mexico, Santa Fe was founded in 1610 and Albuquerque in 1706. Missions were built in San Antonio, Texas in 1718, Los Trampas, New Mexico in 1751, Santa Cruz and San Diego, California in 1769, and more would follow. In addition to trying to impose their customs on the native peoples, the Spanish also introduced horses, which would dramatically change Native American lives over the next several hundred years. On a more ominous note, the Spanish unwittingly exposed the indigenous people to deadly diseases. Within about 100 years of Spanish arrival, disease and violence had killed at least half of the Pueblo population. In 1680, the Pueblo people in Santa Fe had had enough. Known as the Pueblo Revolt, the Indians rebelled against the Spanish colonizers, killing some 400 of them, and drove the remaining 2,000 settlers out of the province. But in 1692, the Spanish returned and were able to reoccupy New Mexico with little opposition. For the next 129 years, they controlled much of the Southwest. By 1750, the American Indian horse culture dominated the Great Plains, and more tribes entered the Southwest for hunting and raiding purposes. In 1810, the Mexican War of Independence was sparked by Father Miguel Hidalgo, a priest living and working in the small town of Dolores. The indigenous Mexicans rebelled against the Spanish to throw off the shackles of the tyrannical Spanish aristocracy. Over time, the movement attracted more and more people, and after a decade of battles, the Mexicans finally prevailed, winning their independence on August 24, 1821. Most of the Southwest was then ruled by the Mexican government. But in 1835, when the Texas Revolution began at the Battle of Gonzales, it sparked the weakening of the Mexican power in land close to the United States. The next year, Texas gained its independence from Mexico and became its own republic. A decade after the Texas Revolution began, the state joined the Union on December 29, 1845. This soon spawned boundary issues between Mexico and the United States, and on April 25, 1846, the Mexican-American War began. For 2 years, the battles raged between the U.S. Army of the West and the Mexican Army. It finally ends with the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which confirms the title of Texas, as well as the annexation of California and New Mexico, which included the present-day states of Arizona, parts of Utah, Nevada, and Wyoming. Just like the Spanish before them, the U.S. government tried to change the native peoples of the Southwest by insisting that they adopt American customs, including the English language and Christian religion. Many native children were taken from their parents and forced to attend boarding schools, and tribal members were punished for practicing their own customs and speaking their own languages. More Anglo influence was imprinted on the land in forts, trading posts, mining centers of silver, gold, and copper, cattle ranches, railroads, and dams. Through all these years of change, the indigenous people accepted some Spanish, Mexican, and American customs. However, many of the native ways would remain. Today, the American Southwest, with its distinctive building traditions, its languages, religions, and foods, reflects the vitality of its many cultures which formed its history. Numerous prehistoric and historic sites, buildings, structures, and districts can still be seen today, and its diverse heritage is still reflected in the customs and manners of the peoples, art on kiva walls and sandstone cliffs, and on pottery and jewelry. Experience the sights, sounds, and colors of this beautiful and vast land, where you can reach for the stars from your sleeping bag, hear the bawling of restless cattle at roundup, feel the sudden pelting rush of a summer thunderstorm, and smell the perfume of the purple sage. All of this is the Great Southwest.